So hello and welcome dear friends. Today we will be discussing the carbon cycle. I will just mention some introductory and important aspects of the carbon cycle. Later on we will dwell into the microbiology of some important components like cellulose and starch, which are important from your syllabus point of view. Today, I would like to introduce you to the carbon cycle. What is carbon cycle and its significance in nature? Today, the whole world is alarmed at the point of carbon emission which the humans they are doing. What this has to do with the carbon cycle of the nature? Come, let's see. Before going to the carbon cycle, I would just like to briefly introduce you to the global biogeochemical cycles. Means there are certain elements which are very important to our life system, like chnops, chnops, that is carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, etc. Even the air which is there, the water which is there, all these circulate throughout the earth's atmosphere, and we have a certain cycle. Water cycle is there. As the earth is a closed system and there is very limited supply of essential elements like the ones which I just mentioned right now, these elements need to be recycled, and this is the fundamental process which is going out on the earth. Why recycling is needed? Because if recycling is not done, it will be trapped at some point or the other and it will get exhausted. So to avoid this exhaustion, there is recycling of these elements going on continuously from millions of years. This has been a natural phenomenon on the face of the earth. In this recycling, microorganisms they play a very important role in breaking down and transforming the dead organic material into forms that can be reused by the living systems, other living organisms. And microorganisms they do this with the help of their enzymes. So microbial enzyme systems which are there involved in the uh, global biogeochemical cycles, they are viewed as the key engines which drive the earth's cycles. In this, out of the many, we will start to understand the role of carbon cycle. What is carbon cycle? What are the role of microorganisms in this, and how the humans they are impacting the carbon cycle? So first let us try to understand where is carbon deposited on this earth. As I say again, you should remember all these elements they are in a fixed amount on this earth. It were there from time immemorial. As the quantity existed, today also the same quantity exists. It is neither created nor destroyed. You know that theory. Okay, the law of conservation of masses. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another form. Similarly, carbon on this earth can never become less or more. Only its forms changes, or to be more precise, I can say the reservoir where it is deposited, that reservoir quantity may change. So carbon has a very big impact on your life. If you take a dinner, if you are eating something, you are breathing, you are exhaling carbon dioxide, you are driving a car, you are a part of the carbon cycle. Whatever you do, you are a part of the carbon cycle. Carbon is the chemical backbone of life on the earth. Carbonaceous compound, they are very important in regulating the temperature of the earth, making up the food which sustains and provides energy. Then the fuels which are there from the fossil fuels, etc., that is also somewhere the energy trapped in the form of carbon. Most of the earth's carbon is stored in rocks and sediments, and the rest of it is located in the oceans. So if you see this round, and the size of the round orange here depicts the carbon in the earth, on the face of the earth. Now these are the oceans, this is deep earth, this is the core of the earth, if you can say. Then this, as it is a flat structure, you can imagine this point and this point are same, that is, this is the ocean. 70% of the earth is ocean and rest is land. You can see on the land there is carbon deposit. Terrestrial biosphere is very small as compared to that, but in that photosynthesis and decomposition it plays a very important role, and rest is mostly physicochemical. Okay, we are trying to understand the terrestrial biosphere, photosynthesis and decomposition. As the carbon cycle is taking place on the earth's surface, more than that is taking place in the oceans. We will try to understand that also. So carbon is the chemical backbone, as I said, and most of the deposits it is present on the earth's surface, but larger than that is present in the ocean. We will try to understand the microbial aspects. When we are trying to understand the microbial aspects of carbon recycling, our focus will be only up to this: photosynthesis, decomposition, terrestrial biosphere, up to this point. Huge reservoirs of carbon are present at the depth of the oceans, in the deep earth, the core, etc. Even in the atmosphere, it's very small. CO2, the carbon which is there in the atmosphere, it is very small. But now human activity is enhancing the CO2 present in the atmosphere, and it is impacting our systems. We will see, we will try to understand that. So what does this carbon do when it is there on the face of the earth? It is stored and it is exchanged in the form of various forms, various carbonaceous compounds in the form of solids, liquids, gases. It moves on the face of the earth. As I said, earth is a closed system. Amount of carbon is very fixed. It never changes. It never changed. Whatever was present in the era of dinosaurs, the same amount of carbon is present today. Only the amount of carbon in a specific reservoir, it is changing over time. Carbon moves from one reservoir to another reservoir through a variety of mechanisms, and a small part of that is microbial systems. Even though if it is small, it is very significant, because in the absence of microorganisms, these transformations or the mobility of the elements will not take place. Moreover, carbon cannot be transformed or recycled all alone. It is in combination with nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, etc. Nevertheless, it is a very important aspect in the Earth's biogeochemical cycle, and we will try to understand this through the lens of microorganisms. Now, for example, take the food chain. Plants move the carbon from the atmosphere into the biosphere through photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is one of the most important mechanisms of carbon recycling. The plants, they use energy from the sun. They chemically combine the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Now this carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is mostly through human activities also. Respiration, we can call it as respiration. Plant, animal, all they are involved in release of CO2, and these plants, they utilize this carbon dioxide, sun's energy, and uh, with hydrogen and oxygen they form water molecules and create starch. This is a magnificent reaction on the face of the earth. This is what is driving we heterotrophs, all the heterotrophic organisms, to sustain our life. Animals like us and rest of the animals, they eat plants, they digest the sugar molecules, that is the starch molecules, or the cellulose molecules, to get energy from their bodies. Whatever the photosynthetic reactions are there, they are converting it into sugar molecules. The sugar is mainly comprised of two major molecules, that is cellulose and starch. And in our syllabus, in our discussion, these two will be decomposed and degraded by microorganisms. That is what we will study. So having said this, now you can see the major part of the picture is blue. That means ocean holds around 50 times more carbon than the atmosphere. Whatever the carbon dioxide is present in the atmosphere, 50 times larger significant amount is present in the oceans. But the problem with the oceans carbon is that as you go down deep, the carbon trapped there cannot be recycled. They are permanently fixed at the sediments. It cannot be brought about unless there is some maybe tsunami or some volcanic eruptions from the sea. You cannot bring carbon dioxide or the carbon back into the atmosphere, which are present in deep oceans, dissolved carbon. Okay, so that is a separate aspect of study, but here we are trying to understand carbon storage and exchange. There is a two-way carbon exchange which can occur quickly between the ocean's surface waters and the atmosphere. As you can see here, just as I have mentioned on the terrestrial carbon exchange, it is via photosynthesis and respiration. Whereas on the ocean's surface, if you can see, air sea gas exchange which takes place, phytoplanktons are there which carry out the photosynthesis, respiration and decomposition is also there of the sea planktons, animals, fishes, etc., and that also releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Two-way carbon exchange, as it occurs on the terrestrial system, it can occur on the sea surface or the sea face also. But carbon which is stored in the depths of the ocean, it is for centuries it remains. You can see reactive sediments, deep ocean which is there, it remains. Similarly, the same type of carbon can be trapped in the earth's crust also. But what has happened millions of years ago, when the animals or the organisms they died, slow geological processes trapped this carbon and transformed into natural resources. We use them as fossil fuels, diesel, petrol. These are all the parts which are coming from the diesel is a fossil fuel and it can be extracted from the ground, but it is going to deplete one day, they say. Why? Because all the organisms who had died, their geological processes which converted them into fossil fuels, that will one day end, and this is a, what you can say, a depletable resource. It is not a sustainable resource. So processes such as erosion, it releases there are processes also like forest fire is there, erosion is, soil erosion is there. This releases the carbon back into the atmosphere very slowly. This process is very slow, but nevertheless, fossil fuels, land usage, forest fires, volcanic eruptions, these also are a part and parcel of the carbon recycling. Human activities like burning the fossil fuels in cars, vehicles, or power plants. You have power plants which run on coal. Parli thermal power plant we have in Maharashtra, which is running, producing electricity by burning coal. Coal is a fossil fuel. So this is one way where the carbon is released back into the atmospheric reservoir. But the carbon balance has to be maintained, and that is a very tricky situation for us humans on the earth. Anyway, so carbon storage and exchange takes place like this. Now the basic terrestrial carbon cycle, which if you see, it is dominated by two basic process. It is a balance between photosynthesis and respiration. Photosynthesis, as I just said, is transformation of sun's energy, light energy, and the carbon dioxide, converting it into sugars. We humans, animals, they utilize this as a food source, and we burn it through our breathing carbon dioxide, or we store it in our body. One day we die, and then it is again released back into the atmosphere. So carbon is transferred from the atmosphere to soil via carbon fixing. When we respire, when we die, when all our bodies either they are cremated or burnt, so all the elements they are again released into the atmosphere. So carbon is transferred from atmosphere to soil by a process called as carbon fixing. What I just said, it is a normal one, but autotrophic organisms, mainly the photosynthetic plants and photo and chemoautotrophic microorganisms, they synthesize the atmospheric carbon dioxide. What does plants do? They absorb the oxygen, they release the carbon dioxide. They take up the carbon dioxide, they release the oxygen. When they take up the carbon dioxide, they convert it into sugars. We eat those sugars and then we convert it into carbon dioxide and release it back into the atmosphere. So this is a balancing circular cycle. This fixed carbon, one day or the other, it has to be returned to the atmosphere by a variety of ways. Okay, respiration is one, after death that burning or cremation is one, all these things. So that we will classify it as decomposition. So this reverse route of giving back to the environment is called as decomposition. Decomposition of organic material by organic carbon consuming heterotrophic microorganisms. Okay, the reverse route of giving back the carbon to the nature is by a process of decomposition, and decomposition is done by heterotrophs. These are the carbon consuming heterotrophs. They may be plants, animals, or microorganisms which use this as a substrate for their metabolism. They retain some as a form of their biomass. See, for example, microorganisms, they are degrading something dead and decaying, they are decomposing it. They will also grow in their mass while doing so, but the comparatively the amount which is released converted is more as compared to the biomass which is formed. So they may retain some of the carbon in the form of their biomass, and they release, but a large chunk of the carbon is released as metabolite or carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere. So this is a carbon cycle which is going on. This soil microorganisms, now if you have a microbiological perspective of this carbon cycle, you can see here the carbon dioxide which is there, the plant carbon and the animal carbon, one day it comes into the soil organic matter. Means when they die, the microbial cells, they start to decompose this plant carbon as well as animal carbon. Let me tell you one thing, on the face of this earth there is huge amount of plant litter, dead and decaying animals, insects which are continuously added into the soil, and this soil becomes a huge ecosystem for decomposition. And while decomposing, the microbial cells which decompose this, they convert it into carbon dioxide and it is released into the atmosphere. This process is called as respiration, that is release of carbon dioxide through decomposition. Now this carbon dioxide then again moves into the microbial cell mass. Okay, this is which is called as the autotrophic microorganisms which accumulate, or the heterotrophs also for that context, they accumulate and they grow in size. So that is assimilation. So this is respiration, then assimilation. So if you see photosynthesis, this carbon dioxide is then again fixed by the one which is released during decomposition, is released into the atmosphere. It is again fixed by the plants, it is called as photosynthesis. If plants are giving out the carbon dioxide, then it will be respiration. The same with the animals also, respiration with respect to animals and with respect to plants. So soil microorganisms, they essentially transfer carbon between environmental compartments to fulfill their fundamental goal, which is growing in size, survival through reproduction. So microorganisms, they just intend to grow. While growing, they do all this process. So microorganisms, they can utilize different organic and inorganic forms of carbon, and that is what makes the categorizes them into different nutritional categories. This carbon cycle, it does not operate independently. Try to understand, it is clubbed with nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle. They are coupled with other types of essential elemental cycles, because microorganisms, when they grow, they require nitrogen for their DNA, they require sulfur for their amino acids. So all they become a part and parcel of the global biogeochemical cycle. But when we are studying one particular molecule, we will be focusing on that. That doesn't mean that it is not linked to other cycles. Therefore, availability of other key essential elements like nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, etc. are also very important, and not only that much, the soil pH, the soil temperature, the minerals, micro and macro elements which are available for their growth, all these play a very important role in the cycling of carbon. There are main two routes of input for the plant organic carbon to the soil system. That is one which is above the ground and the other which is below the ground. Above the ground, the plant litter and its leachates which are there. This litter above the ground. Above the ground, biomass production is called as sequestration. Means they fix the carbon dioxide, and litter which falls on the ground, that is falling on the ground, dissolved organic carbon is washed into the soil in the form of litter, and it infiltrates, goes to the ground, and there it starts to get decayed and decomposed. Again it is carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere. Below the ground, the litter and the exudation, collectively they are known as rhizodeposition, because once it is added to the rhizospheric zone, The soil carbon sequestration also takes place beneath the level of the ground, and there plant exudates, that is all the root follicles etc., they absorb. In the last lecture we have seen the cationic exchange which takes place through the soil. This is all soil microbiology. Remember, we are trying to focus all these things through soil perspective. So it gets the litter, it is first added in the soil microbes, they will decompose it, release the atmospheric carbon dioxide, rest the minerals, they are absorbed by the plant roots. So below the ground litter and exudation of the roots, it is collectively known as rhizodeposition. So, the relative magnitude of the various inputs from above and below the ground depends upon plant species, soil which is there, sterile, fertile, pH of the soil, temperature, and the crop management systems which are governing the plants and the crops. Okay, so this is the carbon cycle with respect to above the ground and below the ground. Now here, having said this, there are sugar molecules, amino acids, sugar alcohols, organic acids, and more structurally complex secondary metabolites, which are the chemical groups taken up by the plant exudates, that make the variety of root exudates that can be rapidly respired through their deposition from the soil. All this gets added in the soil. This is called as soil humus, soil organic matter, and from there the plants they uptake and the carbon cycle starts. There are some complex polymers also. We will be focusing in our next lectures with respect to these two polymers. One is the simple sugars like carbohydrates, starch, and second is complex polymers like lignin, cellulose, hemicellulose. These are structural complex components of plants, and when this carbon is fixed by plants, it becomes either starch or cellulose. For degrading it, again microorganisms, they will require enzymes. Okay, so as I said in the very beginning, for the biogeochemical cycles on the face of this earth, enzymes they play a very key role. Okay, so this depolymerization of these complex polysaccharides like starch and cellulose is done by microorganisms via enzymes, and they metabolize this through various cycles for their carbon and energy source. So as I just showed you the various aspects of carbon cycle, that is the carbon, which is the most important element in the biological system. It constitutes about 50% of all living organisms, means we all are 50% carbon. Carbon dioxide, which is present in the atmosphere here, which is present in the oceans, in the dissolved water, these are the which are present in atmosphere and dissolved water. These are the ultimate sources of carbon compounds occurring in nature for we animals, humans, and all the life systems. So basically the cycle of carbon in nature comprises of two main processes. Two main processes are there, as I said, photosynthesis and respiration. In other perspectives, microbiological perspectives, we can say conversion of oxidized form of carbon into reduced form of carbon by photosynthesis. So photosynthesis, which is there, you can see this carbon dioxide, which is the oxidized form into reduced form by photosynthesis. This forms the first prime reaction of carbon cycle, and second is restoration of the original oxidized form through mineralization of the organic form by microorganisms. Means it is released, trapped, released, trapped. It just is converted from one form into the another form. Forms may be plants, animals, humans, insects. They require this carbon, they thrive on the carbon. 50% of all living organisms, they are made up of carbon. So these two systems, if you see, as I said, the first is carbon cycling through photosynthesis, conversion of oxidized form of carbon or carbon dioxide into reduced organic form through photosynthesis. So on the terrestrial plants as well as algae and aquatic plants, through the decomposition and respiration, they are cycling. This is sugar molecules formed and carbon dioxide is released. Water molecule, here also you can see water molecule and carbon dioxide is released by the terrestrial plants. So carbon dioxide is reduced into organic carbon compounds mainly by the process of photosynthesis on the terrestrial as well as the aquatic systems. So photosynthetic algae are there, higher plants are there. These are the most important agents of CO2 fixation. CO2 fixation is a very important part of carbon cycle. In the ocean, the major plant forms, there is aquatic flora and fauna are there, phytoplanktons are there, microscopic algae are there, free floating microscopic algae, they fix the carbon. And it is estimated that 1.2 into 10 to the power 10 tons, it is a huge amount of carbon which is fixed annually by these systems in the sea, by the microscopic algae and phytoplanktons and the sea plants planktons. On the terrestrial photosynthetic life, 1.6 into 10 to the power ton of carbon is annually fixed by these terrestrial carbon dioxide recycling or photosynthetic systems. Apart from these two, which are the major ones, the remaining rest of the system which we are interested in is, though it is small, but it is significant. Try to understand. 1.2 into 10 to the power ton in sea, tons of carbon, and 1.6 into 10 to the power 10 tons on terrestrial. Remaining, whatever maybe a small fraction, is done by autotrophic and heterotrophic bacteria, which are also capable of synthesizing by decomposition of organic and inorganic carbon in the soil. Now, these, though they are a smaller fraction, they form a very important part of the food chain or the ecosystem, because they are the only ones who have trained themselves for decomposition. There can be light or air decomposition, but is very insignificant. The decomposition by microorganisms is the prime process on this earth which has brought life on the earth. We have seen from 4.5 billion years till date. If you see, around 1 billion year ago, the oxygen started to increase on the earth's surface, and the anaerobic system went away only by due to activities of microorganisms. So they do this by around two processes, as you can see here. The carbon dioxide, which represents the sole source of carbon for autotrophic bacteria, they fix carbon dioxide into carbohydrates just like the plants by this reaction. And heterotrophic bacteria, they fix carbon dioxide commonly by the pyruvic acid TCA cycle and formation of various organic acids. So this is the first first reaction, that is conversion of oxidized form of carbon CO2 into reduced organic form. The second is restoration of original oxidized form of CO2 through mineralization of the organic form, that is the reverse process. One can consider there are three different modes through which the organic matter is released back in the form of CO2. This release of the trapped carbon dioxide, or the carbon in the form of carbon dioxide, it is released back. Three major processes are there. The first is the process of respiration, which we are seeing. Crores and crores of people on the face of this earth, they are respiring, they are releasing carbon dioxide. That is, even the animals are doing that, plants are doing that. That is the major process, one of the process where CO2 is released back in the atmosphere, and that is process of respiration. Second is accidental forest fire and intentional fuel burning. We drive motor vehicles, we drive thermal plants, we have industries which leaves out carbon dioxide in the form of smoke and pollution. All this may be pollution, may be adding carbon dioxide to the methane. Let me tell you, the organisms which they are cellulose degrading, means which are herbivorous, like all the cattles, all the jungle animals who are herbivorous, means which eat plants for their food, they release gas as methane. This methane gas, through belching and through the gas release, they release, and that also contributes to a large extent to the sea carbon in the atmosphere. So accidental forest fire, intentional fuel burning, and decomposition of organic matter by microorganisms. As I said, the decay by microorganism is also one of the important process by which carbon dioxide is released back into the atmosphere. So process of respiration in plants and animals, and the accidental and intentional burning of plants and their parts results into breakdown of organic carbon compounds, releasing the carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. So this recycling which is there, this photosynthesis, respiration, mineralization, decay and decomposition, combustion, plant respiration, animal respiration, all this is continuously going out on the face of this earth from time immemorial. As the earth was formed, it is going on and on. But humans, they are impacting this cycle. We will see it how they do that later on. But the most important aspect for a microbiologist is to understand the decomposition of organic matter by microorganisms. The organic carbon compounds which are eventually deposited in the soil, they have to be degraded. They are degraded by microbial activities, and these microorganisms, they are bacteria and fungi. We saw 5 groups of microorganisms which are present in the soil in my last lecture, and all these microorganisms, they contribute to the degradation. The carbon dioxide which is released in the air, and also some part is trapped in the soil by soil erosion, that is removed back into the released back into the environment. So in natural system, growth and decomposition, they balance one another. So there is growth on the face of the earth, and when everything dies, it is degraded. Humans, we have a socialized system, so for a faster degradation, we either bury our dead ones or we burn our dead ones. So these two, even there is one community, the Parsi community, I suppose, yes, they give the dead body to the vultures. Means they have a fire temple, they throw their dead bodies, and the vultures, they eat the dead bodies, consume. So that is also recycling, one way of recycling. So in natural system, growth and decomposition, they balance one another, and the atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration, therefore it remains fairly stable in the nature. So this is the decomposition of matter by microorganisms, and in that, in the next lectures, we are going to study decomposition of cellulose and starch. Now finally, before ending this lecture, I would like to tell you that this human activities on the face of this earth, as contrast to the animals or the rest of the life forms, we humans have a tremendous impact on the carbon cycle. We burn fossil fuels, we change the land usage, we use limestones and fertilizers, we use what you can say concrete to build buildings, and we do all other activities where carbon is getting imbalanced or trapped for longer duration of time. If you are trapping carbon for longer duration of time, then its reservoir will be imbalanced. As a result of human activities, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is rapidly rising. And if you see at this point of time today, we are having a greater carbon as compared to 8 lakh years before. From 8 lakh years, carbon imbalance has not been such great, as because humans, they are increasing in their population, their needs are increasing. The need is mostly greed based. It is not what you can say hunger based or situation based. It is greed based, where rest of the animals on the face of this earth, if you see on the surface of this earth, they will eat only when they are hungry, they will kill only when they are hungry. But humans, they are exceeding their greeds, and therefore as a result, we are contributing more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This is a totally different area of study which you can do on your own and see the carbon balancing. Even the G8 G9 countries today, they are emphasizing on each country to give their carbon balance, how much carbon they are contributing, because we have industries. As industries goes on, emission of added carbon in the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere increases. So developing countries, they need industrialization. Industrialization goes on adding carbon dioxide in the air. This extra carbon dioxide is lowering the ocean's pH, and the process is called as ocean acidification. How does the atmospheric carbon dioxide affect the ocean? As I said, ocean, it interacts with the carbon dioxide on the surface, and there ocean acidification is taking place. This ocean acidification is interfering with the flora and the fauna, that is the planktons and the life forms of the sea. Means, just if you see the turtle, it needs a carbonaceous crust. Then there are some shells, seashells. They cannot form the carbon if the ocean becomes acidic, because in acid carbon dissolves, it become carbonates, and they cannot form their shells. So it has become a great difficulty for the animals in the sea to survive because of human activities on the land. So this is all about the carbon cycle. In my next lecture we will talk about cellulose decomposition and its role in carbon cycle. Cellulose and starch, these are the two main products of photosynthesis, and this will be called as biomass. To break down this biomass you need enzymes. These enzymes are only present in microorganisms. Cellulose is the most abundant organic material in plants, and it can only be attacked by fungi and bacteria. There is an enzymatic process of degradation. This I will be explaining in my next lecture. There are a variety of microorganisms involved in degradation of cellulose. Fungi are there, bacteria are there. Sequentially, gradually they degrade it into hemicellulose, lignin, pectic, sugars, and finally glucose. And glucose is the simplest form of carbon or sugar which can be utilized by all forms of life. So this will be the part of my next discussion. So in my next lecture we will see the second part of carbon cycle, the microbiology of cellulose decomposition. The biogeochemical cycles on the face of this earth are very significant for our lives and for the next generation. Why we need to study this in soil microbiology? Because you have to understand, we cannot be so casual when we buy a four-wheeler or a two-wheeler. We cannot be so casual when we put on the AC. We cannot be so casual when we put on the computer or recharge the mobiles again and again. You are somewhere contributing to the carbon cycle, and if this mania continues, a time will come when our next generation won't be able to survive on this earth. So to make the world a better place for the future, we have to think, study, and be sensible citizens, where we will be not contributing to the imbalance of carbon. Some more aspects of microbiology, some more interesting aspects of the cellulose decomposition and degradation by microorganisms using enzymes, we will see in our next lecture. Till then, goodbye. Hope you study and understand this topic very well and make yourself more knowledgeable in this aspect. Have fun, have a good time. Goodbye.